Excited about our next speaker, Kirk Jensen, all the way from Edmonton, Alberta. Kirk is busy both in Toastmasters and out of Toastmasters. He's the District 42 Public Relations Officer. He's the incoming president of Northern Lights, the oldest and finest club in District 42. He's the Division Area Governor of the Year for 1993 to 1994. Publicity and Promotion Chairman of 1994 District 42 Spring Convention in Edmonton, which hosted more than 600 delegates. He's also the owner and president of GenSys Software and Technologies, which Kirk started in 1986 and has been running ever since. He's also got a 5 handicap in golf, and he's also an instructor of ballroom and country and western dancing. Doing the boot scoot or the tush push or the high jaw ladies after the program, now's the time to round them up. Today, Kirk is going to be talking about something that affects each and every one of us, change. Boy, if you want to get people wild, start talking about making some change. We live in a world that's constantly changing. There's no time like right now to start realizing this and thinking about ways we can deal with change. Now, Kirk is especially suited to speak on this subject because of the field that he works in, computers, which is changing almost daily. Kirk's presentation is entitled Change Through Proactive Reengineering, or Doing It Before You're Desperate. Let's give a big Region 4 welcome to Kirk Jensen.
Thank you very much, Mark. Great job. You could have said a little bit more about me, though. But I have to use this. Did you hear what the cow said to the North Dakota farmer on a cold winter morning? Thanks for the warm hat. Change through proactive reengineering. What does that mean to you? Change through proactive reengineering. I practiced this session on my younger brother. He said, Kirk, what it means to me is you should work on your title. So thanks for the support, Craig. But I will go on with what we have because we can always change. Let's break it down. Change through proactive reengineering. Change is growing and learning and experiencing. Proactive. What an exciting word. Proactive. As opposed to reactive. Being proactive. Doing something and acting upon and making decisions in an orderly environment. Proactive. And the buzzword of the management in the 90s is now re-engineering. You can all be managers now. Re-engineering is the rethinking of tried and true concepts and beliefs, and revisiting those, and taking a look at them. Why are we doing things a certain way? As Mark said, change is happening all the time. We're not to be surprised by change. We're in a world that's constantly changing. When the sun goes down, it gets dark. Good. I've been seeing some change.
Cold?
In Alberta, yes. When the sun comes up in the morning, it gets
Warm.
I haven't been there yet. But if the sun went down, and all of a sudden it got dark, and you're standing beside a person, you looked up and you said, "What's happened? What's happened?" I guess it means he hasn't been here long, I guess. Change is something that is always happening on our planet. Maybe not on the next planet we visit, but on this planet. I like to look at nature on seeing change. What is natural, and what is just something caused by the environment. So let's look at the planet Earth. When the Earth goes through a change, it takes a great deal of energy. A great deal of stress builds up in the plates over a long period of time. And in one moment, all this stress is released in an earthquake. And the earth tosses and turns and goes through great contortions and swings wildly, yards and even many yards. Many yards. I was going to say miles, but that's too much. So it swings wildly just to change a few inches. So even the planet Earth, in nature, we are all in God's, built around God's creation. So why don't we think we're any different? We are going to have to go through something as well like that. Thank heavens we don't have to go through it physically. We are a little different because we have a lot of mental anguish when we go through change. But physically, we don't have to go through that. As you're sitting there right now, you're breaking a speed limit. Every one of you is changing at 50 million cells per second. 50 million cells per second. And that means within 15 months, all of us are going to be different physical beings, with the exception of a few tissues and nerve fibers. So wouldn't it be a good idea if we're going to be changing, because we want to be changing towards something that we want to become. So we have to have this image of ourselves that we want to change towards. At 50 million cells a second. Studies have shown that when we go through change, drastic change, a career change, a divorce, perhaps a death in the family, but the average person within 18 months gets physically ill. Physically ill within 18 months. There's that 50 million cells per second within 15 months you're a new person. So within 18 months the average person is going to be physically ill. It's also been shown that the average person, after they retire from the job that they're in, a career-long change, they will only live, listen, they will only live the average of 17 paychecks. 17 paychecks, that's two studies. That's exciting, boy, I want to retire. Get me into that career. That's a travesty. Anybody here know Alabama? Crimson Tide? U.S. college football? Geez, the Canadians more. I got to see more Canadians hands up. Paul Bear Bryant, one of the most winningest football coaches in college history, was one of the greatest coaches in college. And he was just about to retire, and they were at a big press conference. And one of the media persons stood up and said, "Bear, after coaching young men for so long, what are you going to do when you retire?" And the bear looked up and he said, "I'll probably die." At 50 million cells a second, he said, "I will probably die." A few months after the bear retired, he died. He'd set that in motion, 50 million cells a second. Dr. Symington, renowned doctor, psychologist, said, "The biggest single factor I can find as a predisposing factor to actual development of disease is the loss of a serious love or object 6 to 18 months prior to diagnosis." So now we've got it through medicine. So we've got to start getting ready for change because it's happening all around us. A thought to ponder is in the wild kingdom, there are 9 diseases, 9 illnesses in the wild kingdom. For household pets, there are 39 illnesses and diseases. Does anybody have any ideas how many mankind's got? Thousands. Okay, we're good. We have not 1,000, not 2,000, but 2,600 illnesses for mankind. Do we create our own environments? Are we a victim of our intelligence? Are we a victim of our self-awareness? Are we a victim of balls? We can be a beneficiary. We can look excited. We can be ready for change, and we can be looking forward to it and making us live longer. Companies are now assisting their employees in retirement. They're taking a proactive stance. What they're doing is getting them ready for the sense of loss that they're going to feel, some of the emotions that they're going to feel, and getting them ready so they're not all of a sudden just dropped, but they're feeling good about themselves. They're seeing it not as an end, but as a new beginning. And there's that simple saying, and I like thinking about this, is you don't see a glass half empty. You can see it half full. A simple statement, but it is so true. That glass is half full of life. It's not half empty. I'll relate to you a personal experience I had in 1986, before I got out on my own. I just developed a software system for an engineering company that did everything from their contacts to their invoicing. I put my heart and soul into that system. I was very proud of it. So, after a few months using it at the regional office, corporate office asked me to fly down to Houston from Edmonton and have a guaranteed salary, and I'll have a guaranteed job. I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity. So within 2 weeks of that invitation, I flew down to Houston. I had the credit card, I had the company car, I had the corporate apartment, I had the per diem, and I had the big guaranteed salary. Man, I was feeling good. I was getting really good. But I'm not finished. We've all been there. What happened was 8 months into that job, a Japanese company bought the firm. And that day that they bought them, I was told that a Canadian working in the United States for a Japanese company in Texas, where there's lots of unemployment, didn't have a great chance of hanging around. 5 days after that happened, after I was told that, I was let go, dropped. Boom. I just finished pulling up roots 8 months, just left all my friends. I just started developing friends again in Houston, and now I'm dropped and I'm going to go back. I can remember driving home, and a lot of us here have probably done that drive, where we've been let go and we're driving home from the office for the last time. How the feeling of sorrow and your self-worth, you've been dropped, boom. I can remember sitting in that Houston traffic for about an hour, looking through my tears of disappointment, feeling and moaning. After the second hour of Houston traffic, I said, all right, enough of this moaning. Let's try to turn this around and see this glass a little different. All right, they can take away my car, they can take away my credit card, they can take away my guaranteed salary, but they can't take away my self-worth, they can't take away my confidence. It's their loss, it's not mine. I started thinking how, boy, the corporate politics, that was the drag. The memo writing, the backstabbing. I didn't like all that. I never wanted to experience that again. Everybody trying to scrap and get to the top. I said, Kirk, this is the best thing that ever happened to you, and I got excited about going out on my own and being somewhere where they said I should have always been, in my own business. And I was excited. I was, ooh. By the time I hit the driveway there in Houston, I was, where do I sign up for a corporate company here? I want to get right at it. And I thank that company to this day for the opportunity of giving me that job, but more so for the opportunity of giving me a kick in the pants and a shot in the arm and leading me down that path. And I'll tell you, that day, looking through those tears, I saw much farther than the horizon was. I saw far into the future. And I believe that saying, you can see farther through a tear than you can a telescope. In fact, now, I'd like to cry. Change. Let's look at change positively. And what sometimes I do is I like music, I like dance, and that is my release. When things are going kind of tough, I'll go to music. Listen to some of the karaoke there last night. Listen to that music. There's a few here that were good. Right, Jacqueline?
Yeah.
So this is a release I have, and I hope you can hear the song. A little Canadian content here. Michelle Wright.
Been a long time away.
place for me is the music. Change today happens with much more severity and much more regularity than it did in the past. You might have heard of farmers. How many farmers are here today? Good, I can't tell. Is that they never had to go to the hospital. And they said it was due to their healthy lifestyle. I believe it was more due to the fact that they didn't have a lot of unsettlement. Their hardships were usually physical, and it wasn't mental. A lot of their mental anguish was based on the weather, whether their crops were going to grow. But look at today's farmers. Today's farmers have to worry about interest rates. They have to worry about the futures on the Chicago Stock Exchange. They have to worry about quotas. They have to worry about tariffs. They have to worry about so many more things. It used to be that for prices, supply and demand within your local community, probably within a 60-mile radius, was what the farmers had to deal with. Now, farmers have to worry about competing with beef in Australia, cheeses in Europe, and ice cream in Germany. We're now in a global community, a global economy, so they now have to set their prices due to the entire world. Amazing. Economic change is rapidly changing through technology. Everybody here is affected by it. Nobody can say they're not. We look at microwave ovens. We look at our thermostats now in our house. We look at the dashes on our boards, dashboards, with all electronics. It's something now that we have to, if we resist it, we're going to either pay the price now or much greater in the future. So it's something that we have to look at. Omni Magazine says, if we can look at technology, if the computer industry had moved as quickly, or if the airline industry had moved as quickly as the computer industry, we'd be able to fly today to the moon and back in just 90 minutes. Like I know in my business, Genset Software and Technologies, every 6 months our business changes. If I don't change, I'm out of business within 8 months. We're obsolete. So we have to move quickly to react. Change won't wait for you. You're either on the playing field in the game, or you're in the stands watching it happen. It's your choice. A sales manager I interviewed for this session related a sad experience to me. He said how this individual had been with the company for 42 years and he was now a regional manager. But he was resisting the computer systems that serviced the clients. He said how he tried to get this individual in for months into training sessions. He said how he tried to sit down with this person one-on-one to show him the benefits, show him the features. And they would set a date and they would set a time. But always when that date came up and that time came up, there was a more pressing matter. After 42 years of exemplary service, that gentleman had to be let go. And the ironic thing is, that man was replaced by an individual who'd only been there for 8 years, and also didn't know the computer system. But the big difference was, this gentleman was open, had his mind open to learning how it can serve them, listening to the training. So that was the only difference there was. This gentleman had an open mind to technology. I don't think there's a much more, the saying is, you can't always, it's not your aptitude, it's your attitude that will determine your
altitude.
Once more time.
Altitude.
Yes, that's right. And never in today's society is that more true than now. You have to be having an open mind. They say the mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. You can write these down too. Realtors meeting. I was at a realtors meeting in 1987. I was selling them some computers. And they're also being introduced to mobile phones. And then mobile phones were new. And what was happening was that this individual was saying how you can be ahead of the competition. And then I'd give my sales pitch and say how computers are going to make you ahead of the competition. And the people that did buy those computers and did buy those portable phones, indeed, were ahead of the competition. But now, with the way it is, if you do not have a portable phone, and you do not have a computer, and you're a realtor, you're not even in the pack. You're behind the pack, looking forward. And we all know what that computer can be like. Everybody's got a book. So I have a book for my session. Called Shifting Gears. I'm from the old school, where the only people who lose their jobs are people who deserve to be fired. I kept asking myself, what do I do wrong? And it nearly drove me crazy trying to find the answer. The engineer, like many of us, was simply unprepared for change. If you're thinking of getting another job, or if the decision has been forced on you by circumstances far beyond your control, what do you do? The natural instinct is to do what Harry and the engineer did and stay with the industry that you know best, where your skills and background contact mean something. But what might seem a logical solution can be a kiss of death. He stayed with what he knew, and again, he was also let go. I read the wrong paragraph. But how many of us here are willing to change and look at things a little bit different? How many of us here? All right, somebody asked me a question.
Why change?
Good question. Why change? Because if you're not changing, the environment is creating you and you're not creating your environment. Congratulations. Somebody asked me another question. Is this Toastmasters? I'm in the right place. Is that a question? Yes. Do you get sick if you change? Will you get sick if you change? No, you won't. You'll enjoy change. Congratulations. Maybe I'll get a question.
Yeah, what are some of the things you can do to be prepared for change?
Some of the things you can do to prepare for change is just do a little research and come to these sessions. Join Toastmasters. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, Dolly, you had one.
What are you doing later?
Do I have any hundreds in there? No, but this is the last one I've given out. No, those are your rewards. When you step outside your comfort zone, you will get rewards like that. Wasn't it interesting how everybody here, we've been conditioned? Well, I don't think I have any questions. But as soon as the rewards started coming out, geez, the hands were just flying. Especially when the dollar bills came out. This is U.S. So remember, if you want the rewards, you've got to step out of that comfort zone and get ready for some change. And you will get those rewards. Oh, computers. They're linking everywhere now. Every corner of the globe are being linked by computers. We're into something what's called now, write this down because you're going to hear a lot of it, the information network. The information network, and all that is a web of transmissions, of data, of voice, of graphics. And all that is coming to a computer screen near you. We're all going to be tied in sooner or later. In every part of our household. It's not if, it's just when. So we have to start getting ready for some change. One company in Halifax, Nova Scotia that took advantage of this network was Roswell Books. And what they did is they put their service onto what's called CyberMall, which is an electronic bulletin board around the world. Within a few months, he was getting 5,000 to 6,000 inquiries for his books that he was carrying, his technical books. He's now shipping to Brazil, to Italy, to France. A small bookstore from Nova Scotia. He's also competing, selling books to universities. And some of the bookstores he's competing against are right next door. This man took advantage of the change. He'd have never had a chance from where he was just sending salesmen out on the road. So he took advantage of that. He's now, his sales have just soared. And he hasn't increased the size of his office. He's just on that little electronic network. 24 hours a day, the business is going to be working. No longer do we have to worry about time zones. Time zones are something that are going to make business, we're going to have to be ready 24 hours a day. And what the information network is going to do, is going to take us and put us into the driver's seat and onto the information highway. Something to be very excited about, and I am excited about for change. 90% of all businesses, 90% of all jobs are going to come from small business. Be excited about that. 90% in the future. We can all look like IBM now. We can all look like AT&T. With the emergence of desktop publishing, with laser printers, with modems, we can send a proposal that looks as good as something that AT&T can have. For about $5,000, we can have all the resources and all the tools ourselves within our own company. And you know what? We can do that from our bedroom. We can do that from our family room. AT&T, they got those great big offices they have to pay rent for. We can live just as good from our bedroom. Our business is a perfect example. We're just 4 people, but we're competing against some of the biggest companies in the United States. We're doing some research. We've done work in Germany, we've done work in Japan, and the United States. And that's because we have an image. Obviously, you have to be able to back it up. And the way we do that is we have everybody in our organization. Everybody in our organization. 3 other people in our company. How big's my head? Everybody else in our company take Toastmasters, which is a proactive move. Because you have to be able to, if you're going to walk the walk, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. Location is no longer, for your company, is no longer going to have to be worried about raw materials or anything else. It's going to be, where can we get the most educated people, communication link networks, and where can we have the best standard of living or value of lifestyle. One person that I admire for this is Dr. Frank Ogden in Vancouver. He does his business from a sailboat off of Vancouver Island. He's got 3 satellite dishes on his sailboat, and he does a global business, and he does very well. He's changed everything. He used to be out in that downtown building. Now he sits out on the deck with his laptop computer and his modem and his 3 satellite dishes, reads all the newspapers that he wants to, talks with the media, and does interviews all over the world from his sailboat. My hero.
Question,
Yes, sir.
what happens when it gets rough?
What happens when it gets rough on a sailboat? I don't know if it ever gets rough on a sailboat. I'll tell you, I think I'd rather have it rough on a sailboat than rough going through traffic. But I'm not sure. We'll have to phone Dr. Frank Ogden about that. I participated in his last year. Now he's got to take a few shots at me this year. All right. Let's move here. We talked a lot about change. Now, what do we do about it? We can be proactive, not reactive. Proactive. It's a fairly common word in now personal development and management, but you're not going to find it in any dictionaries. All it means is taking the initiative and taking the responsibility to set up the circumstances, conditions, and environment for yourself. Responsibility. If you take a good close look at that word, responsibility, it simply means it is your ability to respond the way that you want. Responsibility. Reactive people are affected by their environment. When it's raining, I feel lousy. When things are down, I feel lousy. Proactive people carry their own environment with them. It's always sunny. They let themselves create the environment. They don't let the environment create them. Reactive language versus proactive language. Let's look at some of the things. Reactive language, there's nothing I can do. Proactive, let's look at the alternatives. That's just the way I am, or I can choose a different approach. When you read the left side, don't you kind of feel heavy? And on the right side, don't you feel excited? He makes me so mad. I control my own feelings. They won't allow that. I can create an effective presentation. I have to do that. I will choose an appropriate response. I can't. I choose. I must. I prefer. If only. Ooh, I hate that if only. If only. No, I will. Tonight, if there's karaoke, what are we going to do? Dance! You heard me sing. The next one is personal development. That's a good one to work on. Where nothing happens to you until it happens for you. A good saying that I've heard, and I've used within my own self, is if you're going to an interview or you have to go to a job as a consultant, you don't ask the person, what am I getting here? No. You ask, what am I becoming here? For your happiness is much more dependent on what you become, if you carry that forever, than what you're going to get. There's certain stages of growth and development that we have to go through, though. We can't cheat. As a child, we have to first learn to turn over, then to sit up, to crawl, to walk, to run. Each step is important. Each step is time-consuming, but we have to go through it. It's true in all phases of life. But it's interesting how we do it in the physical things. We can understand it. But when it comes to character development, emotional development, we pretend a lot of times. We think that we understand it. And perhaps we do. But if we do understand it, what's even tougher is to live it. Is to live what you believe you understand about your development. If I say we play the piano or play golf, if you're going to play the piano, you don't just get up there and all of a sudden you're a recital pianist. Nope. You have to practice for 6 to 8 years. Once a week, taking home a lesson, practicing it, and then coming back. You just don't learn it. Can you imagine if we could put that into practice for emotional and character development? If we could work with somebody for 6 to 8 years, and every week get a half an hour lesson and then take some other lessons home and work on it, ooh, we'd be excited. There'd be a lot of leaders that would be built very quickly. In Toastmasters, we do that. We have manual speeches that we go through. There's kind of a set out plan. And each week we go, and each week we get evaluated. And each week we'll work on something a little different for our next speech. So we're growing. We're being proactive. Being part of this organization is proactive. If anybody sees here Neil Wilkinson, who's from the same city I'm from, make sure that I gave that plug for Toastmasters. You can tell them that. But it's one of the most frustrating things is to want to have an above-average job with an above-average income without being an above-average person. You know? Well, what do we do to become an above-average person? Kirk, you got us sitting here, so yeah, tell me something. Well, it's simple. Change is it can be very simple. First of all, like we join Toastmasters. You can work on your handshake. Develop an above-average handshake. Everybody turn around, shake the hand of the person you're beside. Yeah. Shake everybody's hand. Really working here. it was a good handshake, tell them, boy, that was a really good handshake. When some people come into me at Toastmasters, I always want to shake their hand, and I want to help them grow. And I'll say, ooh, that handshake, you got to work on that a little bit. Here, give it to me again. But you know, there's a shy girl, a shy lady, who came to me a year afterwards. I told her that a year previous. And she said, you know, Kirk, I got a compliment on my handshake the other day. I want to thank you for that. As simple as that is, working on your handshake. Develop an above average smile. Develop an above average interest in other people. Develop an above average intensity to win. See, all that will change everything. As simple as that is, that will change everything. One of the most frustrating experiences is to want an above average job without being an above average person. It's called frustration. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Confidence is the next one. Confidence is people that are comfortable with who they are. They know their weaknesses and they know their strengths. And they don't compare. They don't see losses in a bad sense. They see them as opportunities. And they see them as a growth experience. Confidence is allowing no circumstance to put your self-worth on the line. Confidence, listening to that inner voice within. Janice said when we were doing that little study here this morning, she said, when you're going through that study, don't talk yourself out of who you think you are. A lot of times, we're talking yourself out of it. Let me relate to you an experience that an individual had with listening to the inner voice. He was walking down the street, and a voice came into his head, just like it was standing right in front of him. And it said, sell your house, sell your car, pull all the money out of the bank, sell all your stocks, put the money in a bag. Instructions to follow. What's that? The voice came again, cold and clear. Take all your money, put it in the bag, instructions to follow. Well, he said, I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to listen to my inner voice. So put all the money in the bag. The next day, after you've done it, the voice said, Las Vegas. Well, I've never been to Las Vegas. The voice said, Las Vegas. I said, okay, I'll go to Las Vegas, okay. Hops on a plane. Just as he's getting off the plane, the voice says, blackjack. I don't gamble. The voice said, within him, cold and clear, he said it said blackjack. All right, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to go put that.
Nothing to lose.
He gets to the table, Caesars. The voice says, bet it all.
That's the big one.
He's going through some change here. He's changing lots. He's listening to that little voice with confidence. Puts all the money on the bag, in the bag, on the table. Even I'm nervous. The pit boss waits and says, okay, we'll do it this one time. The dealer deals. The dealer's showing the whole card and a 9. He's showing a 10 and a 3. He said, oh no. The voice says, hit. That's okay, it makes sense. He goes, hit. Flashes a 4. He's now laying 17, the dealer's got a 9. He said, well, I'm concerned 17. Most people stay at 17. The voice said, hit. Grabs his hands tightly, closes his eyes, believing in the voice of the confidence, he says, hit. 20. He's sitting 20. The dealer's got a 9 in it, a whole card. I'm in good shape. The voice says, hit. Good. So he grits his teeth, closes his eyes, he clenches it, and he hits, and the dealer flashes an ace. And the voice says, unbelievable. They knew. The last one is challenge. Handling change in the 90s, proactive, reactive, personal development, confidence, and take the challenge. If you want the rewards, you've got to step outside your comfort zone. You've got to step outside and maybe look at things a little bit different. The biggest step is to act upon, not be reacted upon. It's your choice. Everybody here, we're in Toastmasters, we take risks, we take challenges every time we go to that meeting. And we stand up in front of ourselves. We're putting ourselves in the line. We're saying we're getting ready for this, preparing us for another time. I want to tell everybody here, we don't have to change a lot to make a big difference. If I have my fingers like this, and you can see through them, and I just do one little context shift, all of a sudden you can't see through them. So it's not like we're looking like we have to do a lot of change at 50 million cells a second. The riches are around us. The riches are beneath us. Everywhere. If we'll just change our thinking a little bit. I want everybody here to stand up. Everybody stand up. All right. Okay, give it a stretch. You've changed a little bit. What I want everybody to do here now is look underneath their chair. Everybody look underneath their chair. Just look over there and take a look. Now, there we go. What did we all find? Gold. All found gold. Ladies and gentlemen, the riches are beneath us. We just have to be ready to act towards change. Mr. Toastmaster.
And he gave us some good information. He had a little bit of everything, some humor and some drama, some music and some dance. And so on behalf of Region 4, we'd like to offer you this certificate of our congratulations, and also this bag of homegrown North Dakota fine products. So once again, thanks a lot, Kurt.